supportive of each other. I mean, I just can't say this enough. We have to be our best friends, each other. That means we cannot be catty. We cannot compete and see one person's failure as our success. We can all rise together, okay? We can all win. And we're sometimes taught in our societies that we have to compete and we have to hold each other back in order for one of us to succeed. That is not true. We need each other.
I've always felt a deep sense of obligation to make the biggest impact possible with this incredible platform. So I took on issues that were personal to me. Issues like helping families raise healthier kids, honoring the incredible military families that I'd met out on the campaign trail, inspiring our young people to value their education and finish college. Now, some folks criticize my choices for not being bold enough, but these were my choices, my issues, and I decided to tackle them in a way that felt most authentic to me, in a way that was both substantive and strategic, but also fun and hopefully inspiring. So I immersed myself in the policy details. I worked with Congress on legislation, gave speeches to CEOs, military generals, Hollywood executives, but I also worked to ensure that my efforts would resonate with kids and families. And that meant doing things in a creative and unconventional way. So yeah, I planted a garden and hula hooped on the White House lawn with kids. I did some mom dancing on TV. I celebrated military kids with Kermit the Frog. I asked folks across the country to wear their alma mater's t-shirts for college signing day. And at the end of the day, by staying true to the me I've always known, I found that this journey has been incredibly freeing. Because no matter what happened, I had the peace of mind of knowing that all of the chatter, the name calling, the doubting, all of it was just noise. It did not define me. It didn't change who I was. And most importantly, it couldn't hold me back. I have learned that as long as I hold fast to my beliefs and values and follow my own moral compass, then the only expectations I need to live up to are my own. You see, Barack and I were both raised by families who didn't have much in the way of money or material possessions, but who had given us something far more valuable: their unconditional love, their unflinching sacrifice, and the chance to go places they had never imagined for themselves. My father was a pump operator at the city water plant, and he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when my brother and I were young. And even as a kid, I knew there were plenty of days when he was in pain. And I knew there were plenty of mornings when it was a struggle for him to simply get out of bed. But every morning, I watched my father wake up with a smile, grab his walker, prop himself up against the bathroom sink and slowly shave and button his uniform. And when he returned home after a long day's work, my brother and I would stand at the top of the stairs of our little apartment, patiently waiting to greet him, watching as he reached down to lift one leg and then the other to slowly climb his way into our arms. But despite these challenges, my dad hardly ever missed a day of work. He and my mom were determined to give me and my brother the kind of education they could only dream of.
You're getting advice from around the world, it seems. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair's wife, Cherie Blair. Did you happen to hear or read what she said?
No.
Well, she warns that you will have to learn to take a back seat, and that you will not be able to have any kind of a career. And she says that will be a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, I think it just depends on the person. I have never been the kind of person who's defined myself by a career or a job. I just never have. People used to ask me that during the course of the campaign. Is it hard for you to have stepped off the track and devoted your life to his dream? But the truth is that I believe in this man as our president and his vision for the country. And if that meant, stepping away from my particular job for a year and a half, or for 4 or for 8 years, if you do what you're supposed to do,
right,
then that's a small sacrifice to make.
And it's enough to keep you fulfilled.
Oh, well, I've got these great kids, too. I mean, and the truth is, and Barack knows this about me, I love kids, and I love my kids. And this isn't to say that anyone who's working doesn't, but I enjoy the balance of having a job and having a set of projects and being able to have time to make sure that I'm in the girls' lives and making sure that we have time as a family. I mean, that's a full plate. I don't view myself as being in a position where I'm twiddling my thumbs and wondering how am I going to get through the day. I've never experienced that in my life.
He reminds me that we are playing a long game here, and that change is hard, and change is slow, and it never happens all at once, but eventually we get there. We always do. We get there because of folks like my dad, folks like Barack's grandmother, men and women who said to themselves, I may not have a chance to fulfill my dreams, but maybe my children will. Maybe my grandchildren will. See, so many of us stand here tonight because of their sacrifice and longing and steadfast love, because time and again they swallowed their fears and doubts and did what was hard. Think about one of my heroines, Marian Wright Edelman, class of 1960, working as a young civil rights lawyer down in Mississippi. Attorneys in judges' chambers refused to shake her hand. The sheriff locked the doors against her when she came to visit her clients in jail. She was always careful to leave the door open when she started her car in the morning. That way, if somebody had planted a car bomb, she had a chance of being injured rather than killed. But through it all, she continued to represent her clients. She continued to resist unjust laws with every fiber of her being. And there's Janet Bragg, class of 1925, who was determined to be a pilot. When she was barred from flying out of segregated airports, she worked with her flying school classmates and instructors to build their own airfield. When she was rejected from the Women Air Force Service pilots because of her race, she enrolled in a civilian training program instead. And when she completed her training, but an instructor unfairly prevented her from receiving her license, she picked up and moved to Chicago, passed the exam, and became the first African-American woman to earn a commercial pilot's license. Of her experiences, she said, there were so many things they said women couldn't do and blacks couldn't do. Every defeat to me was a challenge. For 6 generations, that is what Spelman women have done. They have seen every defeat as a challenge. Now, did they have moments of doubt, anxiety, and fear? Did they have moments of despair when they thought about giving up or giving in? Of course they did. We all do. And I am no exception. There were times when I felt lonely and overwhelmed during my freshman year. And what I want you to remember is, if that happens to you, I want you to keep pushing forward. Just keep pushing forward, and I want you to reach out and ask for help. I know your teachers tell you that all the time, but please understand that no one gets through college, or life for that matter, alone. No one. I certainly didn't. So the minute you feel like you're struggling, the minute, I want you to ask for help. Don't wait. Seek out a professor you trust. Go to the writing center or the counseling center. Talk to older students who know the ropes and can give you some advice. And if the first person you ask isn't friendly or helpful, then ask a second person, and then a third and a fourth. My point is, keep asking until you get the answers you need to get you back on track.